Welcome back to the Water Online Show, powered by Water Online, the leading online destination for the water and wastewater market. I am your host, Travis Kennedy, and we have a very special guest on tap for you all today. And I want to dive right into the topic that we're going to be covering because it's an exciting one, and it's one that's been at the forefront of a lot of our minds for, I don't know how long, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, but for this market in particular, it's definitely something that a lot of people are talking about. The topic is AI, and really AI is everywhere right now. No matter where you go, you cannot escape the questions around it, the aura around it. It is in our face and everywhere, and there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. But when we say AI, what does that actually mean for the water industry? So can algorithms, for instance, really help utilities find leaks or reduce energy costs or keep systems running with fewer people? I don't know. Maybe it can. I think our guest can help shed some light into that. Or is AI just another buzzword? In today's episode, though, we're going to be digging into how artificial intelligence is showing up in real-world water and wastewater operations. What's working, what's not, how utilities of all sizes should be thinking about AI today. And here to tell us more, I could not think of a better guest to have to help us get through the weeds of all this and answer the questions that a lot of you might have out there. Andrea DuMont, who is a senior product manager at Bentley Systems and a licensed water engineer. Andrea, welcome to the Water Online Show.
Thanks, Travis. I'm thrilled to be here.
So I'm going to throw a fastball here real quick, right off the bat. First question. There's a lot, as we all know, there's a lot of growing momentum around AI, especially in water and wastewater. But your paper found that the adoption is somewhat, how do we put this, uneven. So from your perspective, is the sector truly ready for AI?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so you referenced my paper. I released a white paper last year, and it was a study that we did with some third parties where they went out and they conducted both quantitative and qualitative studies of water professionals. So it's not, my opinion or the opinion of Bentley, but they were, voices that we're hearing from you guys out in the industry. And I'll tell you, given the hype of AI, the findings surprised me a little bit.
How so?
In my role, I talk with a lot of technology users. These are people that tend to be in the front of the curve for adoption. They're, designing their own technology. They're implementing our technology. Some of them are very competitive in the marketplace with these new advancing AI and different workflows. But what I found was that less than 50% of the organizations were really ready to take on new digital technologies. So think of not just AI workflows, think of advanced anomaly detection. So looking for, say, leaks in your water system or cracks in your bridge or your dams. These are automated workflows at remote sites. And that's what I would probably categorize as that new technology. And
would you be saying then that less than half of the market or the industry is ready for things, something that might sound as basic as like predictive analytics or things like that? Is that what it's found?
Yeah, a lot of the questions that we asked were around like automated workflows, and you'll see. I won't spoil the paper for you. You can go out and read it yourself.
No spoilers here. No spoilers. But yes, let's get our audience and all of you listening out there. Make sure that you download this paper and get it, read it. There's a lot of good information out there. But go ahead, Andrea.
Yeah, so that was kind of the big underlying thing that we found was less than 50%. And, we were talking to people who were CEOs, people that were individual contributors. So it's kind of from all around the spectrum of the water industry.
So whenever there's a new disruptive technology or solution entering the market, there's always barriers that slow down adoption. So speaking about AI specifically, what are some of those barriers?
Yeah, there's definitely hesitancies to adoption, and we saw that come out in some of the responses. What we found was that the technology or the cost weren't driving the hesitancies. Like a lot of times I think we would expect, maybe it's people don't think the technology is there. They don't think they can use AI, but that really wasn't the most significant barrier.
Interesting. Okay.
We found that in a lot of cases, it was the people, it was the culture, the processes. They didn't think they had the things in place that they needed to in order to adopt it. It's so much harder to do that sometimes than to just say budget for new tech. It's getting the new tech and actually seeing value from the tech. So, some of the concerns that they voiced were workforce retention. Some of it was cybersecurity. So I think one of the interesting things that did come out in the questions, we had one about what were your lessons learned. And the folks that had adopted more technology, they were more likely to have a positive response. They said things like, "Oh, I didn't know how much value I'd get from this pilot."
That's good to hear. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the people who had were less used to it, less confident in it, those are the ones that were worried that maybe it would disrupt their workplace or that they might not have the right workflows. So I think seeing more and more technology adoption is actually one of the ways that we can kind of target those barriers.
Yeah, those barriers remind me a lot of the other types of barriers we face in the water wastewater market, which is not a lot of municipalities want to be the first one out of the gate to try something new. They want to see how it works collectively with other municipalities or other neighboring townships or whatever the case is. So that makes a lot of sense to me. But AI really in and of itself is not, I guess you can't really call it new to the water market. I mean, as I mentioned before, and you had commented on and gave a lot of good data around, predictive analytics has been around for a while now, and especially as it relates to water and wastewater. So what's different now? Like, it just seems it's been accelerating at a pace that's kind of bonkers, right? So what's different now with the rise of stuff like digital twins and connected data and AI embedded workflows? What's changing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all comes down to your definition of what is technology or AI. I mentioned in the paper that we've had AI embedded workflows since the 80s and 90s. So if your definition is about predictive decisions and mimicking human cognition like that, we've been doing that for a long time. What I think is changing is that we're going to have more AI native workflows. This is the machine learning, the large language models. It's new technology, and it's also technology that's being used in new ways. So I think one of the primary benefits of this is being able to do more with the same amount of people, the same amount of data. We've been collecting so much data. I can't tell you how many times as like an intern or an entry level, we were going out and doing, pulling transducer data, that if something were wrong, we would take a look at it. But now that we have AI can take a look at it while we're sleeping and then alert us to something that's wrong, which I think is really cool. So.
It is cool. I mean, think about that. That's crazy when you think back to when water systems were first designed. I didn't even think, when they were designed 100, 150 years ago, that anybody would think that, oh, you can just go to bed one day and wake up and it'll tell you everything that might be wrong with your system so that you can go on offense instead of play defense against a leak or whatever.
Yeah, and it's a perfect time for it. Like, we've got more regulations, emerging contaminants, we have the duplicity of drought and flooding. So utilities have so much on their minds that they need to think about. So it's really fascinating that now is a really good time for this technology to be coming about.
One thing that you had mentioned in the paper about AI being democratized, and I'm just kind of curious, what does that mean specifically in the AI landscape for the water sector? So, and to take it a step further, one of the specifics around that is, does it mean like an off-the-shelf AI solution for small utilities makes sense, doesn't make sense, and risk rewards of that approach? What are we talking about on that subject specifically?
Okay, this is something that really excites me. It's one of the things that I really love working for a technology company, because it makes technology equitable. If we have a solution that can be applied to a small organization, a large organization, everybody benefits from it. And from that, we're benefiting our communities, our families, everybody in the world. So yeah, I think you nailed it. It's off the shelf solutions. There's also companies that we see that take some of these solutions and then build more on top of it. So they're building tools on top of those existing solutions. By having that foundation, they are saving time. They are adding a layer of assurance, maybe in cybersecurity standards, or that they can always phone us and ask for technical support when they run into something. So that democratization of solutions, I think, is really important for us to have, not just to be benefiting one water utility, but a lot of them. And, it's one of the reasons that I really love being in the position that I'm in, because we can help people manage their risk. We can help them to understand, what solutions are out there, and how to do better by their communities.
I mean, we should note again, I know I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, but you are part of Bentley, and Water Online has a longstanding relationship with Bentley, and Bentley is indeed a thought leader and a market leader when it comes to digital water, and they are certainly carrying on that legacy as we go into the era of AI. So Bentley certainly deserves a lot of credit for the leadership position it's taken, and the people like you that work with Bentley and for Bentley to bring AI to the market and make it a reality of the daily and the common for a lot of our listeners out there, a lot of our viewers. So, the round of applause for Bentley from that aspect of it. But so we talked on this show quite a bit, not necessarily this episode yet, but the Water Online show, and it's around the industry as a whole, whether you're at a convention, a trade show, or just in chat rooms, or again, digitally on Water Online, about the silver tsunami, right? The aging workforce. Andrea, how long have we been hearing about that? I don't know, 10 years, 15 years?
Before I was here.
Right. Yeah, me too. Yeah. 15 years ago when I was a wee pup, but that's a thing. Yeah, like there's no way to sidestep that landmine. There's an aging workforce out there. There's a lot of legacy employees of municipalities, even some in the industrial segment related to water, wastewater, and a lot of those engineering roles where you have professionals retiring, they're going unfilled. And this is where AI can really be of additional benefit on top of all the other things that AI can bring to the table. How can AI help these facilities, plants, municipalities do more with fewer people without losing any of the, say, like engineering judgment or experience and all of those things that we've become accustomed to?
Yeah, so that was a theme that came up quite a bit. And in particular, we had a consultancy go out and do interviews on our behalf. And every time they reviewed the interviews with us, that was a theme they brought to our attention was, the users were comfortable using ChatGPT, Copilot. They felt like in their personal lives, they understood it. But when it came to their professional work, in this case, we were talking to a lot of water modelers. They were concerned that the younger generation wouldn't understand the model as deeply. If the AI did something wrong, they might not be able to catch it. And I think this is a good concern. It just shows how much responsibility we carry in our line of work. And I think it's similar to other technology adoption. Like, in my master's, I studied groundwater flow, and I could not sit down and write a differential equation if you wanted me to. But I could look at a groundwater model and say, oh, this doesn't look right, and try to figure it out and dig in deeply.
Right.
And I think it's the same in adopting new technology. You have to have the right foundations. You have to have your engineer's intuition. But it's just a tool. It doesn't supplement your need for human knowledge. And, maybe it's cultural, maybe it's generational, but I think we need to manage those concerns appropriately, but not be so resistant to change that nothing happens. And you mentioned at the top that, water might be a little bit slow to adopt new technologies. And honestly, I think that's a benefit for us. We can watch how they do it in manufacturing, watch how they do it somewhere else. Let them perfect it, and then we can adopt it. So
that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, I don't know why we change that way at all, but AI just presents a whole new ball game on so many different levels. So, and I know that, I've used AI in my daily and common as well as in my professional world here. I know that you have probably as well.
Could you tell that my headshot was AI?
I could, but I had to look at it for a good 10 to 15 seconds, and I kind of went back and forth. I'm like, that's a really good, camera work. And then well, maybe it was AI, only because I've used those AI services as well when it comes to professional headshots, right? And I need a lot more help than you do. So I'm glad that those things exist for me specifically. And I've used something like ChatGPT, similar to what you kind of talked about maybe in the paper, but also in some of your discussions around it, where many professionals are comfortable using AI for things like insights and, to get started on some things, but not quite yet as it relates to final decisions and outcomes. So what builds trust in AI, especially in a system that really can impact public safety, environmental outcomes, all of that stuff? I mean, it's an important thing.
Yeah, so I mentioned that less than 50% of organizations are ready. It's
Right.
the people, not the technology, that's influencing the readiness for adoption. But I think we have seen some examples, some really good examples. I won't spoil them too much for you. But we've
No
seen
spoilers here. We do no
no
spoilers in
spoilers.
this episode. You're going to have to read the paper.
One of the things they've done is they've put their trust in what I call digital champions within the organization. So these are people that either understand the tech or are willing to jump into it. I would say they have enough latitude to be able to take small steps without needing permission for it. And then usually an objective that's like, hey, show how this gets the same result as our old way or tried and tested way of doing it. So I will point out one example that is in the papers.
Please. Yeah, go
So
for
we
it.
work with Forte and Tablata. They're a consultant firm out of Baton Rouge. And they're really, what I love about them is how innovative their thinking is. So they really wanted to use a digital twin, and the client wasn't quite sold on it yet. So they put together a model. They used some of their existing data, their bathymetry data. They had a lot of sensor data. They did go out and do reality capture. So like a reality model, a 3D model of the space. So they put a little bit of time and energy and kind of that upfront work into it. And they were able to find that they could access, I think the stat was 1,000 times more data.
1,000?
1,000 times more.
That's no joke. Okay. All right.
So their use cases were training operators. So they could go into the digital twin and train their operators. They had a use case where they could pull precise engineering data. So like a measurement off of a pump without having to send somebody out, disrupt the operations. If it's flooding, they don't have to, worry about that. So I think it's a really awesome example of they're using mostly their current system and their current data, and then they were able to be the champion for the client. Another thing I just want to point out is that I think people have these digital champions within their companies, whether they recognize it or not. I would look to your younger generation. I've written a lot about, giving a little bit more responsibility, asking your younger staff, hey, how would you do it? Instead of telling them how you've done it in the past. And I think you might be surprised at what they come up with. And I think that they are great assets to any company.
I could not agree with you more on that aspect. I know here at Water Online, recently we've hired quite a few, what I would say would be, say, younger workforce members of our team. And we've done just that. We've asked them, well, what would you do here in this situation, instead of saying, this is how we've always done it. And their answers just completely blow me away. Stuff that I never even would have thought of. And they're just, I could not agree with you more. I think this is an exciting time, not one where we need to be necessarily overly worried about, professionals moving out of the market and retiring, because we have such a strong bench. Like, we have a new workforce coming in that knows how to get things done and understands the concepts and the language of this digital world which we live in now, which is, to me, it's just really exciting. And because of that, I mean, we're starting to see real world results because of it, which is fantastic. So safer dams, reduced CSOs, right? Water loss, all of those things we're correcting at a rate and being, as you mentioned earlier, predictive versus reactive. So going on offense instead of defense. But with that, what do these stories tell us about how technology is being deployed and in terms of like water infrastructure as a whole?
Yes, I think with the technology, we're becoming more familiar with it. I think everybody already knows that we're seeing cost savings or being able to use more data, do more work with the same amount of people. So I won't mention that again, but
You can. I mean, it's a good point to make. Mention it as much as you want. We want to get the headlines out in front of our audience. That's why we're here. So don't worry about mentioning it. Go ahead.
But I think another interesting part is that it makes our jobs more fun. Like I didn't go to engineering school thinking I would be doing some, changing the same thing on every drawing sheet over and over again. And you can start to automate this. You can make things safer. I think the what they say is if it's dirty, dangerous, or dull, use
Mhm.
AI to do
Interesting. Triple D. All right.
it. The
Yeah.
triple D. So I think it makes it a lot more fun. And, one thing that kind of tickles me a bit is, as people are getting more used to AI, I'm watching in the office across political lines, across generations, people are so excited to talk about what they're doing. Hey, I used ChatGPT to do this, or I uploaded all my documents and it was able to find this for me. And this used to take me 4 hours to do. So I
Right.
think that that's really exciting. It's just like the enthusiasm around it. um, and I see like where we go next is we're not just using it to review documents. We're using it to make decisions that again, there's a lot of concern in the industry. We need to be careful. We need to trust and verify it. But I think what we will see coming up is that people are going to have more comfort in allowing the computer to generate different decisions, to generate different options that we can choose from. So yeah, I think those are the stories that excite me probably more than cost savings or or
Well, no, they excite me as well. I mean, you talk about a good trailer for this paper. I love the antidotes that you're bringing to the table too. So if you have time, I have a couple more questions for you. If you could just stick with us for just a little while longer. So, um, if organizations, municipalities alike, maybe even in some industrial segments, if they can accelerate adoption responsibly, and the key word here is responsibly, not acceleration, but responsibly, how could AI-enabled digital twins change the way water infrastructure in and of itself is planned, operated, and sustained, say, over the next 3 to 5 years?
So I think this is a really fun question because right now we have a lot of the AI enabled tech, some new AI native technologies coming up. And I probably can't speak too much on this, but one of the coolest things that I'm saying be developed is the ability to use agentic AI and write new software, new widgets. I think others in your audience might be similar to me in that, like, I know what coding is. I have taken a class in coding, but I don't like to do it. I will
I
use
don't think I don't think
Excel.
we've taken classes in coding. No. When you said agentic AI, I nodded like I knew what that was, but I have no idea. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
if I could like put on my my crystal ball and take a look at it, I imagine a scenario where like one day you're a designer, you're working in MicroStation or OpenSite or whatever your drafting product is of choice, and you have to change something on every sheet. And maybe there's not a global button to just go and like click and change all. And you go into your agentic AI, so your agent,
yeah.
and you say, hey, can you please change this line type and all of these different scenarios? And let me review it before you accept it. Thank you. I think you have to say please and thank you to your AIs.
Yeah, the agentic AI really holds a lot of respect for politeness. So as long as you're polite, I think the agentic AI, which I now understand just based in context from how you're talking about it, I agree. Definitely be polite to everybody. That's just a good rule. But yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. So I think, I feel like in the future, I know we're very close to technology right now where you can be in your software, you can ask it to develop code for you. You not even really knowing how to do code it could get the benefit of, specialized, customized widgets. And you're letting AI do the heavy lifting, you're letting it do that dull, dangerous, repetitive task. And then it frees you up for more of that social or the communication aspects that humans do really well.
Now, to put a bow on this conversation, which I don't want to do, but I know I want to be respectful of your time, and our listeners' time. Uh, every time that we tackle a topic where there's a lot of details to go over, I always try to break it down for our listeners and for our viewers around what is the most logical first next step. So, for water professionals out there who are curious about AI, but at the same time cautious about it, what's one thing you would say to help them feel more comfortable and confident about getting started? And what would that first step look like?
I think the first step is to just start somewhere. If it's a pilot, I know we make fun of pilots a lot because we do a lot of them, but there's
Oh, those
there's
pilots.
there's great value in the pilots. If
Of
it's
course. Yeah.
just something small, what we found from, looking at all of the different responses is that the more somebody used something, the more they grew confidence in it and the more they were able to get value from it. So I think you have to start somewhere. And starting small is probably the best place to start.
There you go. No better advice out there. Andrea DuMont, Senior Product Manager at Bentley Systems. I cannot thank you enough for the time that you spent here with us. And for all of you out there, our listeners, our viewers, we cannot thank you enough for the time you spent here with us today. And for all of us here at the Water Online Show, we cannot wait to see you back here next time.